Hey, what's going on, gents, husbands and fathers, men out there? So I put together a little bit of thought on what I wanted to say tonight, and um, I heard something recently about the power of quitting complaining, and so I reframed it to this message that I heard, and thought I ought to share it with y'all because I found myself in this situation of constant complaining. So it's an easy habit to fall into, and typically we tend to get into like anything can trigger it, right? And so if we can't find mindfulness in it, we can our focus goes into that negative situation, and we continue to perpetuate the problem that we exist in. So well, here's a few points that I put down. So, constant complaining drains our energy. So, when we focus on the problem of how we were wronged or how we reacted to a certain situation the day at work, typically what happens is that drains our energy, and then it impacts us in an enormous way. So if you think about it, when you spend an hour complaining on, you go in circles a lot of times, and the way to get out of the spin cycle is to reclaim your energy by focusing on the change you can make. So number two, it creates a really negative mindset. Anybody that's been around anybody that complains all the time, you know that that it's draining. You find when you focus on the negative, you find problems everywhere in life. It becomes a condition, a habit, right? So if you begin to train yourself to focus on the path ahead, or if you focus on the complaint, then you can't find a solution ahead. You notice all the little things that are going wrong instead of quieting your mind and looking for a path ahead. So we get stuck focusing on the challenge and insurmountable path ahead instead of saying a little bit at a time, I can make a change in the situation that you're in. So when you focus, you rewire and reframe, you can focus on a solution. When you shift from complaints to solutions, that has enormous power in life. When we find out that things instead of just letting things happen to us, you focus on that. And so it happened to you, therefore you react. And so back to reframe and rewire. When you find that you in the situation, you can find out what the possible solutions are, and then act. Like I have a mentor online that I follow. He's like, you got to take action. You got to take action. So when you take action, you get out of the rut of focusing on the problem. So I want to tell you a quick little story. So when I was in cybersecurity years ago, I tended to do just this. I had a situation where the management changed up everything that I knew over the past couple of years. They came in and changed up everything. I got a new manager, and I became resentful, and I became extremely frustrated with the situation. And instead of having a meeting with the management and just kind of having a dialogue about why they made the decision and what the path was ahead, I became pretty resentful of the situation. And it actually, made me start thinking about, I need to just leave this job. But I had a friend that told me, he's like, whatever you do, don't run from it. And so I ended up not leaving the position, but I was never fulfilled with like same gratitude because I was always focused on the negative, and that actually rubbed off on coworkers, and it rubbed off on others, and it became a drainage of soot in the mess that I was in. And it's just that's just one time, and there's lots of times in our lives we can think back that we got stuck in the spin cycle of complaints and instead of focusing on solutions. And so anyway, it would have been better as a conversation. I just never really made that conversation happen. I was not able to really shake that off, and it's kind of a dark point in my professional career, in all honesty, but something I can learn from. So how do you quit complaining, right? So it's not easy because it's a habitual type of thing. We tend to focus on the negative. Some people tend to focus on the negative all the time. The glass is always half full versus the half empty situation or whatever. And so they focus on the problematic piece of it, and they get stuck on spin cycle. So the cause to get past it, or the way to get past it, is for becoming aware that you're actually doing it. So the moment that you start to feel like you're going to complain, you have to catch yourself, and you say, you know what, I can reframe this. I can catch myself in the moment, and I can go a different path. So what are my options? So is there a way to reframe? And if there is, then take action. If there's not, sometimes there's an accountability that needs to be taken. You need to take that accountability and say, you know what, there's nothing I can do about this, so you need to accept it and move on. That's really hard to swallow sometimes. Sometimes our egos get kicked in the junk. And so if there's not one, so how do you respond? If there's not one, how do you respond to it now? Like, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Okay, I can't control everything, so I have to accept this. How do I respond to it? The next one that is hard to do for a lot of people is finding some gratitude in this situation that's made you want to complain. So if you reframe it and rethink it, so there's pieces of good in every decision. And so if you can find that good, you can express gratitude in that situation, and then you can turn around and move forward with the good pieces that are there. So I'd like to challenge you to set a challenge for yourself. Go 1 day, then try to go 5, and so on and so forth. It becomes a situation that as you move forward, you try to not complain each day. Things get a little bit brighter. So last thing I want to mention is that sometimes when you can't reframe and you got to move on, as you begin to pursue this new path of no complaints, you may need to apologize to all those that you may have complained to, and they couldn't do anything about it, and they had nothing to do with it. So you may need to apologize on that situation and how it escalated when you started to complain. So in closing, I'd just like to say, let's take our positive energy back. Let's focus on the path forward, and this will be where magic happens. And so remember, gents, the energy we carry through the day affects our job. It affects us on the golf course, and then it most especially affects us back on when we walk back in through those doors and into our families' lives. And so when we reframe and re-engage in a positive way, we'll find more happiness and fulfillment in our lives. And that growth leads to fulfillment and joy. So I got to tell you, let's fly high, let's stay strong, navigate this journey with purpose and passion, and chart your course. Your family believes in you, and so do I. Have a great night.